All right, guys, Brett Cooper, former host of the comment section, is back on YouTube, and she did launch her own channel, and she's already amassed over 1 million subs with just one video, which is absolutely wild. But in her first video, she talked about cancel culture, and she encouraged us to not become the very people that we've accused the left of being. So I want to respond to the 3 examples that she gave of this, and then bring in one more example that this warning applies to. Let's get into it. Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. I appreciate you being here. Do me a couple favors, hit the thumbs up button, become a subscriber if you're not already, and turn on your notifications so that you never miss out on a conversation like the one we're about to have. So it is very exciting to see Brett Cooper back on YouTube. I will link her new channel in the description box below so you can go check it out. Not that she needs my help to grow her audience, but it will be there. And her new channel trailer was amazing, which shows that she really is starting this new chapter in her life. So let's just play a few seconds of that.
The world you desired can be won. It exists. It is real. It is possible. It's yours. But to win it requires your total dedication and a total break with the world of your past. Fight for the value of your person. Fight for the virtue of your pride. Fight with the radiant certainty and the absolute rectitude of knowing that yours is the morality of life and that yours is the battle for any achievement, any valor, any grandeur, any goodness, any joy that has ever existed on this earth.
Are you ready, Brett?
I'm ready.
And that just gave me goosebumps. So where her last channel very much had the young Gen Z vibe with the faux dorm room and the headphones and the bright colors, which very much appealed to the younger audience, her new channel has a much different feel. More muted colors, less clutter, and seems to be more focused. And what I love about this is that it shows her growing up and maturing, which I think aligns with the natural phase of life that her and her dedicated audience is probably going through themselves, moving from the fun party vibe to the more settled, stable, decisive part of growing up. And it makes sense because when she started the comment section, she was single and or dating. Then she got married, moved to a farm. So I think it would be kind of weird if she tried to do the dorm thing again. So I love the new vibe that she's going with on this channel. And then on January 30th, she launched her first episode, and she said that she would be doing longer videos with more substance as opposed to chasing the news cycle and trying to post things every single day. So her first video, as I said, was in regards to cancel culture. Now, this is a term that I think we've all become very familiar with, and we have primarily associated it with the left, where if you speak about being a conservative, if you talk about your conservative beliefs openly, or you disagree with something that the left stands for or an action that they want to take, which are more often than not depraved beliefs that have led to the downfall of society, then they come after you. They go after your business, they go after your family, then they go after your reputation. They want you to fail, they want you to lose your job, and they want you to basically never be able to work or thrive or show your face in society again. And with that cancel culture, we've also criticized people who have caved to the left and apologized for their actions, for standing up for what they believe in. And they do this hoping to get back into the good graces of the left, whatever that means. And we've told these people repeatedly, like, don't cave to the mob. Don't apologize. It's not going to make a difference. It does not matter. In their eyes, you are irredeemable. And even if you say you're sorry, the only thing you deserve is to suffer for the rest of your life. And we've said it's never going to be enough. So do not bend to these people. So obviously the last thing that we should want is to be like that. Yet we've definitely become those very people. And I am just as guilty of it as anybody else. And Brett put out this 30-minute video with 3 great examples of how we have done the same things. So I want to go through some of the things that she talked about and kind of give my own take on it. And then, as I said, present my own example of how I think that this has happened on the right. So the first example she gives is of Whitney Cummings. And Whitney is a comedian who in the past has been pretty liberal, which is why it surprised a lot of people when she did a spot on the CNN New Year's Eve coverage in which she roasted the network and their base for some of their insanity.
2024 election fried our brains. The Democrats couldn't hold a primary because they were too busy holding a body upright. Are we still rolling? Am I off?
Go for it.
It was amazing that the pro-choice party didn't give their voters one when it came to the presidential candidate. Kamala was forced on us so hard you'd think she was patented by Pfizer or Moderna, whichever one's, oh God. Andy just gave me a very scary look.
Now, through this whole thing, she seemed to be pretty shocked that they didn't cut her mic and they just let her keep going. And the video went viral. People loved that she stood up to these people. And we all know that the most effective humor is based in truth. And Anderson Cooper probably didn't have anything to say because there was nothing to argue against. However, quickly after the video going viral and people praising her for it, the right dug up all of these old tweets of hers about the COVID vaccine and turned on her immediately. And this is something that Brett outlines here.
People had never heard of her before. They were so excited to find, another brave and honest comedian who was willing to push boundaries and make these kinds of very, relevant jokes. But what makes the story interesting is that people turned on her as quickly as they fell for her because they realized that 5 years ago when COVID was raging, she used to be very pro-vaccine and that she even had vaccine mandates for some of her live shows during that 2020-2021 period. You have some tweets here. You can see her talking about the vaccine, saying that, God, we need a vaccine. Can we make a vaccine now? Go, we need a vaccine. Chop, chop on that vaccine. Like she was tweeting about this constantly. And immediately, people on X started calling her out. They were calling her a grifter and a fraud, saying that she was an opportunist, that she was taking advantage of this time and culture when things were shifting to the right to try to make a name for herself. They literally lost their damn minds. And again, this happened in a matter of hours.
So Brett then goes on to talk about how this was really unfair for us to do on the right because we constantly say that we want people to change their minds, to wake up, especially after being so deeply immersed in the emotionally manipulative left-wing ideologies, and to wake up after being so deeply fooled by these people. Yet it's completely counterproductive to our side if the second that they do, we have exactly the same reaction that the left does to us, which is to dig up past mistakes and tell you that that's the only thing that matters and that we don't accept you. There were people saying it's too late, it doesn't matter, which doesn't make sense to me because what do you mean it's too late? Do we have a timeline as to when people are allowed to change their mind, or do we just hope that eventually they will? She reminds us that literally what we plead for every single day with these people is for them to wake up. And Whitney is one of those people who seems to be doing that. The second example she gave was of Mark Zuckerberg, who, as we know, is the founder and CEO of Facebook. And we know that Facebook/Meta has been the absolute worst when it comes to censorship. As conservatives, we have become well aware of exactly what information will get us flagged, and we'll get our accounts locked for days, weeks, and sometimes even months, or banned entirely in some cases. We couldn't talk about the Hunter Biden laptop story without getting flagged or put in Facebook jail. We couldn't talk about the alternative treatments to COVID without getting canceled, and we couldn't question the COVID vaccines without some kind of retaliation. And Zuckerberg has admitted that he was heavily pressured by the Biden administration to censor Facebook users who posted information that they didn't like, whether it be singular posts, articles, or even memes. So needless to say, it was a little shocking to see Zuckerberg approach Donald Trump for a meeting, and both men claiming that they wanted a working relationship going forward. Zuck also said he'd be removing fact checkers, which we all know has nothing to do with actual facts and everything to do with targeting the information that the Biden administration and the Democrats just didn't want out there. And I did a video on this whole situation a while ago explaining my own skepticism on this man for his current actions, because he definitely seems to be someone who changes course to whatever will benefit him financially and get him in with the in crowd, whether that be bending the knee to the Democrats or now being in favor of the First Amendment Amendment now that Trump is in power. And who knows if that's true. However, Brett reminded us that apologies are not what matters, but the actions that come with those apologies are what's really important. And Zuck has taken some big steps in an effort to earn back the public trust that he knows he's completely damaged.
He's grifting, he's opportunistic, he's just changing right now. Are you kidding me? Like, I have been watching Mark Zuckerberg beef himself up. He started doing martial arts and jujitsu. Like, when he started doing jujitsu, I was like, it's over for the libs. And guess what? It kind of was. Didn't he open a cattle ranch in Hawaii? He started talking about the importance of eating grass-fed beef. Like, somewhere along the line in the last few years, something clicked for him in his life and he began to change. I also personally think that his response to the Trump assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania, I thought that that was very, very genuine. I didn't think that that was calculated or opportunistic at all. I think that he, like so many other Americans who had turned away from Trump, who didn't really like him, I think that they saw him in a completely different light. I mean, you watched a man who has literally faced lawfare, has faced slander and shame, has been kicked out of his circles, has lost basically his entire community, and now he is being physically attacked, he's being shot at. And you see him stand up and say, fight, 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 because he believes in this country. He doesn't have to do any of this. He could be at Mar-a-Lago golfing. It's what we always say. He doesn't have to be president. He doesn't need to be running again. He could be living a peaceful life, but he's choosing to show up against all odds because he believes in this country and he believes that it can be great. And I think, again, like a lot of Americans, that clicked for Mark Zuckerberg. And if you don't know the clip that I'm talking about, just listen to what he said immediately after the assassination attempt.
Yeah, I mean, seeing Donald Trump get up after getting shot in the face and pump his fist in the air with the American flag is one of the most badass things I've ever seen in my life.
And I agree. I do think that that was a light bulb moment for Zuck. Like, this is what it looks like to fight for the country. And if Donald Trump can stand up to a bullet and keep going, I can stand up against the people who pressured me to use my platform for an agenda, and I can move forward. If this man can stand up and keep going despite all of the hate and the attacks, then I can too, because Zuck knows that making this change is not going to make him popular. He knows that the vast majority of the country is against him and skeptical of him and really dislikes him for what he did. And myself nor Brett are saying that we should just move forward and forgive and forget. And this isn't a matter of just blind forgiveness. This is about giving people a chance and letting them show us if they mean it. The last example she gave, which is actually the second example in her video, but just the one that I wanted to touch on last, is the example of Bud Light. We all saw what happened to Bud Light after they used Dylan Mulvaney to promote their brand. And then their tone-deaf marketing executive posted a video on how they were trying to leave these antiquated ideas of the past, like pandering to actual beer drinkers, like masculine, rough and tumble, rough around the edges men, and basically aim to please their woke audience. Mind you, this was also at the height of a lot of people's frustrations with gender ideology when it was spiking all over the country and people were starting to get really angry. So it seemed to show that not only were they ignoring the consumers that had made their brand and their product what it was, but that they didn't care. And the boycott of this company was immediate and extreme. And I was all about it, like everyone else. However, Brett went on to point out the many, many ways that Bud Light has tried to make things right over the last 2.5 years, and that maybe it's time to give them another chance.
Bud Light has spent the last 2 years trying to make things right. They have literally been repenting for 2 years. Like, in my personal opinion, Bud Light has done more to get back on track and actually listen to their consumer base than, say, the companies that Robbie Starbuck has been going after. The companies that get a ominous message on LinkedIn from Robbie saying, we know what you're doing behind the scenes. We're going to expose you. They get freaked out. They put out an apology and a very well-curated PR statement rolling back everything they've been doing over the past couple of years, getting rid of the BLM initiatives, all of that BS. And while those things are obviously still net positives and they're good for society, those are actions that are being done out of fear and convenience, where Bud Light is literally putting in the work, whether you like it or not. Like, over the past couple of years, the ad agency that was involved in that Dylan Mulvaney beer can, they fired 13 people immediately after. Bud Light put 2 marketing execs who were involved in that on leave and ended up firing them. They gave an apology, albeit very squishy, didn't actually hit the issue head on, but they did make an apology. But more importantly, they drastically changed their marketing tactics. Like, they actually got back to who Bud Light's consumers are and what Bud Light stands for.
And on that note, I do want to share the latest Bud Light ad that they posted within the last couple of days, showing that I do think they are trying to gain back the support and the trust of their consumers that they know they lost. And the people who have posted this video have said Bud Light finally understood the assignment.
Fishing tomorrow?
I got a colonoscopy tomorrow.
Fellas, I accidentally threw a lame party.
Okay, Ted.
They're on their way. They're here.
Ooh.
You call this a party?
Cul-de-sac party.
Launch. These beers are a metaphor for an invitation.
Is that our leaf blower? Party at the sec.
You are cordially invited to the end of the cul-de-sac.
This is incredible.
Your mower smokes meat?
Oh, our smoker cuts grass.
Hell yeah.
I spent most of my money on this.
New rig? Fully custom. How many Bud Lights can you fit in that puppy?
As many Bud Lights as it takes.
A lot of Bud Lights.
It's cul-de-sac. Pop. Bill, get off the boat. The HOA's already breathing down my neck.
Now, my husband and I don't drink at all, so Bud Light, whether or not people purchase this product or whether or not this company exists has no bearing on our lives at all. But I did show this to him and he thought it was absolutely hilarious. So I do think it is going to have a positive effect. And I agree. Maybe it's time to let them prove themselves again. And Brett also reminded us that this company employs thousands of hardworking Americans, good people that come from good homes. And I doubt that if they do have any woke employees, it's a small percentage compared to the people who support our country and love working for an American brand. So it's just something to think about. So the last example I want to submit is that of Reagan Conrad, the young woman who took over Brett's channel after she left the Daily Wire. Now, for those of you who don't want or just want a quick recap, Reagan was the producer of the comment section channel for the 3 years that Brett Cooper was the host. They were also apparently best friends, and Reagan was even the maid of honor in Brett's wedding. Now, a few months ago, Reagan started doing one episode a week on Brett's channel under the idea that she was just helping Brett out by taking over 1 day a week and giving Brett a bit of a break. And as we know, this channel was wildly successful. It was well done. People loved Brett and it just skyrocketed. However, at the end of November/early December 2024, rumors started circulating that Reagan was going to completely replace Brett and that Reagan had received acting lessons to mimic Brett's voice and mannerisms, making it seem like the Daily Wire was hoping that they could just insert a copy of Brett into this seat as the host and that the audiences wouldn't care. However, Brett did finally announce on December 10th of 2024 that it would be her last show and that Reagan was in fact taking over. She said it was her choice to leave and she did wish Reagan the best. And since then, there has been a lot of speculation about what really happened behind the scenes, and people believe that there was a lot more going on than meets the eye. Brett unfollowed Reagan and apparently most of the Daily Wire hosts on social media. She deleted all photos of herself and Reagan from her wedding. So it just seemed like things were not as nice as they were trying to make it seem like they were. In response to all of this chaos, the audience of that channel has been unsubscribing by the hundreds of thousands, where the channel used to have almost like 4.3 million subs. Now it has less than 3 million, and it is losing more and more people by the day. Where Brett used to get 500,000 to 1 million views per video, Reagan now gets maybe 30,000 to 75,000 views per video. There was also a video posted on TikTok by Reagan's cousin that she has since deleted, where she basically said that this was all Brett's fault and that Brett had wanted Reagan to come with her to her new channel and help her produce a show there, but Reagan chose not to, and that it was Brett who recommended Reagan to Jeremy Boring to fill her seat, even though in later interviews, Brett said that she was not the one that recommended Reagan for the position. Jeremy even posted a video on the Daily Wire website talking a bit about the situation, where he says it hurt his feelings that Brett wasn't doing more to stand up for her friend and also dismissed the rumors that they had paid for acting lessons for Reagan to act like Brett. But ultimately, I think it's Jeremy Boring who screwed up. If he had just been transparent from the beginning and said, Brett will be moving on, so we're going to replace her as the host. We hope you'll still support the channel as we're going to deliver the same type of content just with a new host. I think that honestly would have saved this whole mess. And it's weird to me that he hasn't been more transparent because, as demonstrated by the whole Steven Crowder fiasco from a couple of years ago, we know that he can be transparent when he wants to be. He literally posted an entire video detailing the contract that they offered Steven Crowder, yet he can't clear the air about the situation between Reagan and Brett. Like, that seems a little bit ridiculous to me. But here's the thing. We need conservative women to be vocal in this day and age. And Brett attracted this amazing audience of young people in a way that no one else has been able to do. And clearly, they are following her to her new endeavors. However, there will be new young audiences every single day, and some of them may not even know who Brett and Reagan are right now. But if their first impression they get of conservatism is Reagan's channel, and all they see in the comments are people being nasty and wishing for her to fail, we're going to lose our chance to reach them. And honestly, I do feel kind of bad for Reagan because this seems like it would have been a great opportunity for her. And it would be really, really sad if this whole thing blew up her shot at having a successful career in conservative media. She seems talented and she's delivering very important messages, but we're going to contribute to our own downfall if we're treating her like she's a bad person. You don't have to support her or watch her channel if you don't want to, but don't go out of your way to wish failure upon her. Another point I want to make is that I understand why we've become bitter and a little bit slow to forgive because, as I said, I've been as guilty of this as anyone else. I also understand that our forgiveness and our tendency to be more compassionate than the tolerant, or more accurately, intolerant left has been used against us. The left knows full well that we are usually the live and let live side of the political aisle and that we don't judge people. And then they've used that knowledge to push a lot of vile, evil ideas because anytime that we stand up against them, they're like, well, that's not very Christian of you. And they tell us how we need to be better Christians. So I get it. And we do need to proceed with caution for people who have wronged us in the past. However, we also know that actions speak louder than words. And if people demonstrate through their actions that they are openly willing to change and trying to change, then I think that we need to give them a chance and see what happens. And this is something, honestly, that I say to my kids all the time. I don't want you to just say that you're sorry. I want you to show me that you're sorry by changing your behavior. You can say, I'm sorry all you want, but if you keep doing the same thing, I can't take that apology seriously. But when they do make changes, I let them know that I notice and that I appreciate it. But that is all I have for this video today. I would love to hear all of your thoughts on this in the comments below. Please hit the thumbs up button, become a subscriber if you're not already, and help me to grow this channel. Keep it real, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.